Good morning. I'm Fenwick Huss, Dean of the Zicklin School of Business, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to the webinar this morning. In this series, we're exploring the new normal in business following the pandemic. Joining me today is Gwen Webb from the Dean's Office, who will moderate the question and answers. In conversation today, we have Michael Roth, Chairman and CEO of Interpublic Group and an alum of the Zicklin School, and Larry Zicklin, former chairman of Neuberger Berman, the school's benefactor and an alum and a professor in our honors program. Larry?
Thank you, Fenwick. Michael, since we're all friends, I will dispense with the formalities.
Yes.
Let me begin. Has this pandemic, which has changed the world, changed the way your clients use your services at Interpublic?
I think the answer to that is categorically yes.
And how is that change being manifested?
Well, just think about how we're dealing with our clients. If we just start with how the relationship is between us and our clients, you know, historically, one of the key aspects of our business was personal contact and meetings. And right now, 95% of our people are working from home on a worldwide basis. And frankly, most of our clients are working from home on a regular basis. So by definition, face-to-face meetings are basically the same as we're having this session right now. And on one aspect of this, it's enhanced the relationship with our clients. And they're looking to us on a more regular basis, but it's taken on a project basis aspect of it versus the historical way of we do business. And that is an agency of record. And we have an advertising plan for the year. Because this pandemic and the uncertainty in the business world right now, it's hard to look out for the rest of the year what their spend is going to be and where they need to focus on liquidity versus earnings versus margin. So the nature of the work tends to be a little more project oriented. But the other side of it is they need us more now because of the importance of brand purpose. So not only the way we work with our clients has changed, the category of the work we do with clients has changed, it takes a lot more effort to end up in being responsive to the client's needs right now.
Are brands more important today than ever?
Absolutely, and the reason for that is all of us know that. How do you find things right now? Like right now, like 5 minutes ago, I already had my Amazon truck, come and drop off my daily delivery. So the increase in e-commerce has been significant. We already knew that e-commerce was a growth opportunity for both our clients as well as us in terms of our analytics, data and analytics. Now, if you're on e-commerce platforms, the only way you can compete is going to be price or brand efficacy and loyalty. So if you're not the lowest price producer, the only way you're going to win on an e-commerce platform is to have a relationship with those clients. And therein lies the opportunity to deliver brand purpose, efficacy of the products, and long-term relationship and confidence that the consumer has with the company. And we're finding that to make a huge difference.
And suppose I told you that tomorrow morning a vaccine would be announced or a therapy for the disease itself. How would your life change or the life of Interpublic?
It's a great question. We had that question yesterday. I
thought I was the first to ask.
Well, we're looking at how we go back to normal when we're ready to go back to normal, and frankly, it's not just the vaccine. Everyone's concerned about the vaccine, whether it's being released too early. So our people are nervous of getting back to work. So even with the advent of a vaccine, we will probably not be at 100% returning to offices as a norm. Furthermore, even down the road, I would estimate that maybe 20% of our business in the future will be people working from home. So the footprint of our agencies is going to be different, even with the vaccine. How we operate from an efficiency point of view is going to be different. Even the locations of our agencies. What we actually have an analysis of how many of our agencies you can walk up to instead of going into elevators, because our people are concerned about going into elevators. So we're actually thinking of combining agencies that have lower levels. So,
you ought to talk to our Dean Fenwick Huss. We're in a 14-story building. And I'm sure he'd like to figure out how to get all the students up there to the 13th and 14th floor with maximum efficiency.
And I have a town hall meeting tomorrow where we're going to have thousands of our employees on the town hall meeting. And I guarantee you the first question that they're going to ask is, if we open up offices, do I have to go to work in the office? And
go ahead.
And go ahead, ask the question.
I'm just going to ask you, has your efficiency been impaired by the work at home?
No, actually, this is the other part of it. Our efficiency is actually better. If you think about it, people wake up at 7:30 in the morning, they go to their computer. They don't commute. They're already working. They sit at their computer. Lunchtime, they eat their lunch in front of the computer. Dinner time, they may stay in front of the computer or they'll stop. And the rest of the evening, they'll be at their computer. So I actually had to dictate in a way at the last town hall meeting that people should take their lunch as if they were going out to lunch. Get away from the computer, because it's taking a toll on them. But on an efficiency point of view, if you think about it, we bill by the hour, right? Just like any other services. And the issue for us is whether our clients will pay for the additional hours that our people are putting on in terms of the work. So in a way, if the answer to that is yes, this is actually beneficial to us from an efficiency point of view.
But as long as you're on the town hall meetings, I'm interested in what you hear from your employees about what their lives are like. What are they concerned about?
The number one question is, if I don't go back to work, am I going to be penalized at work? Even though you say I'm not, is my manager going to hold me accountable? And the other part of it is, I have a child at home that is either special needs or I have a parent, and I am responsible for taking care of them. And even if I wanted to come back to the office, I cannot do it. And it's that part of the workforce that will not come back to an office until things are, quote, whatever normal is. We have experience already in some of the foreign countries where we've opened up, and a good percentage of the people in those offices are not coming to work. And in the other side of it is, our clients are not, one of our big global clients in Paris opened up, and they wanted to bring initially 15% of their people back to the office. And they ended up with 5% of their people coming in. So this is going to be different.
Different world. When the pandemic is over, when it all ends, will the clients demand different services from you as a result of the pandemic?
If you look at our industry, we've always said that the growth in digital versus linear TV, the old way of doing creative, you already see it in the media spend. Digital has surpassed linear TV in terms of where the dollars are going to. What this has done is accelerated the movement to a digital environment manyfold. So the way we do business and what clients are looking to for is much more digital than we even were in the accelerated mode before the pandemic. So our reliance on data and analytics now has grown significantly, which for us, it's not fortunate. Well, it's fortunate, but we figured this was going to happen, which is why we bought Axiom a couple of years ago, because of they manage first party data. And we leverage that to provide data analytics. So we know where the consumer is, we know what their wants and desires are, and we can target market those individuals with a value proposition that if we didn't have those type of data and analytics, we wouldn't be able to do it. And if you see, the trend is for Google and Facebook to do away with cookies. When you have first party data, you don't need cookies to reach those consumers.
Are you slowly becoming a technology company?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There is no question that the digital aspect and the data and analytics part of our industry is growing exponentially. But our approach is we couple that with our core competency of creative, PR, and experiential, all in one place, what we call open architecture.
That's a remarkable change from the advertising agencies
Yes.
I remember 20, 30 years ago.
Well, the advent of the holding company, which is what we were the first, was a bunch of siloed organizations that we would just buy, McCann Erickson, Foot Cold and Belding, we would buy these siloed global advertising agencies. We're all fully staffed to do all the different services, and they would compete with each other. And because of conflicts, if we did General Motors out of McCann and FCB did BMW, that was okay, but we couldn't do the both of them out of McCann. So that was the advent of the roll-up of a holding company. Under our approach, the holding company maintains its brands, but we use open architecture to bring in the best resources within IPG with a single focus to the client. So we actually have FCB, McCann, Mullen-Lowe collaborating on a particular client as opposed to competing.
Michael, we've all become accustomed during this pandemic to getting Amazon deliveries every other day. Is the consumer's preferences now being permanently changed? Is this the way the world is going to be? Is the day of the mall over? I don't mean completely over, but will it ever be as important as it once was?
Well, we're doing a lot of work studying that because we have a lot of luxury brands, right? So take L'Oreal, which is a big global client for McCann and IPG. In China, the biggest part of their business in China, 70% of their business is e-commerce. So think about that.
70%
of their business in China is e-commerce, and it's doing very well. Now, think about that in terms of how do you sell a L'Oreal product on an e-commerce platform when Amazon is selling a proprietary product that claims it's exactly the same as the L'Oreal product. And that's where our expertise comes to the forefront. Help L'Oreal develop that brand recognition, the brand relationship, the brand purpose, so that the consumer has that kind of relationship that they will pick L'Oreal products as opposed to the Amazon proprietary product. And that's what's happening. Same thing with batteries, right? If you go looking for a battery on Amazon, the first thing you see is the proprietary cheap Amazon battery, which is maybe even 50% cheaper than Energizer or Duracell. So, that's heavy lifting to get consumers willing to pay a premium for a brand. And the only way you can do that is through brand building.
Is the consumer going to walk into a mall to the same extent he or she did 6 months ago?
Yeah, they're going to.
We have a vaccine,
right? They are, but they're going to do it as a window, shopping experience. The issue is if they walk into a mall, are they going to buy the product in the mall? They might walk in, they may walk into a mall just to see a product, and then they'll have in their hand their mobile phone, and they'll price shop that product. And if they can get it on e-commerce cheaper than buying it in the mall, that's what they're going to do. So our job is to target those consumers when they go into the mall and give them offers so that they're incented to buy in the mall. I mean, it's
a hard job.
Well, it's actually not a hard job because we know where they are. We're looking, right? And we know, for example, think of going into Best Buy and standing in front of a Sony TV, and you're looking at the Sony TV, and as you're looking at the Sony TV, on your mobile phone comes an offer. We know you're looking at a Sony TV. These are the competitive reviews of the Sony TV. Here's a coupon that if you buy it right now, you can get a 10% discount on the TV that you're looking in Best Buy.
But in the long run, doesn't the e-commerce have an enormous cost advantage? They're not paying rent at that Best Buy.
Yeah, that's why you have to have a brand efficacy and brand purpose and brand relationship. If you don't have that, the e-commerce platform will always prevail.
I look at the bricks and mortar stores alone in Manhattan. It's shocking how many of them not only are closed because of the virus,
right,
but look to be permanently closed.
Yeah, no, it goes to the next level, Larry. That is the small to business owner. Who's going to win in this environment? And there are companies that are having record highs in the stock market right now, right?
I've noticed.
And the Walmarts, the Amazons, the Microsofts, and because it's all e-commerce and technology oriented.
Does that mean years from now there'll be a dozen or 2 dozen great companies and everybody else will be a loser?
I hope no. I hope the answer is no, because there are customers. I'll give you in Greenwich. They just opened up Greenwich, Connecticut, right? And there's a high-end Saks store in Greenwich, and they opened up for the first time. They were lined up outside for people to go into the Saks store to buy shoes. Okay, so there are consumers out there who want the real experience, but that experience in the store is going to be different. So that's the other part of it.
You think the store is going to have to adjust?
Yes, they're going to be able to provide services within that store that are different than they're doing right now, and it's the only way.
Stores will be showrooms with some service.
Exactly. Personal shoppers, things like that.
Yeah, but that's really for high end.
Yes.
For the medium to low end, it seems to me the Amazon truck is going to be busy.
Amazon or whoever else.
Or Amazon too.
Right.
Michael, I want to talk to you about something else. An event happened at Fox News where one of the broadcasters lost some advertising.
Yeah.
In a country as divided as we are, how do you negotiate the minefield of being associated with program content when you're on television that could be injurious to the brand? Sponsoring TV shows that whatever you say antagonizes half the audience.
Yeah, we have and it's not just TV, it's YouTube also.
YouTube.
Actually, the one that's most famous is the YouTube where some racist materials put next to an ad campaign for a well-known brand. So we have what we have is a safety officer at Media Brands, which is our media company, and his responsibility and his team's responsibility is to make sure that whatever content gets placed on YouTube, on Facebook, or on TV is placed in a safe place that's consistent with the values of the company. And yes, the Fox News has suffered a diminution in some of their advertising revenue as a result of the content that they're using. But on the other side, there are clients that want to be on Fox News. Chick-fil-A is the one that comes to mind. All right, so it's where your customer, and that's exactly why data and analytics is so important, because you want to know where your customer is. Is your customer watching Fox News, or is your customer watching MSNBC? And what messages are they looking for? And so that's why data analytics drives the placement and reach for the products that we're trying to represent.
I remember going back a few years, we actually used to count the number of cars in a parking lot, or
Right.
the number of people entering a store. That
Right.
seems so ancient right now.
We don't have to count. We know exactly where they are.
That's frightening, by the way.
It's frightening.
Conversation.
Well, that's a fair question. You know, is it invasion of privacy? And the surveys we do, it's not an invasion of privacy if it's helpful. You know?
Well, it's helpful till it's not helpful.
Exactly. But people don't mind sharing, and this is an age differential. The younger people don't mind sharing some of their information, whereas people like us don't like to share our information, and they're very comfortable. Look what they do on Instagram and Facebook and all that information. So if they agree to sharing their information and they get a coupon or something free as a result of it, they're all in.
It's the triumph of hope over experience.
Yeah, exactly. Until they get burned.
Until they get burned. Michael, are your clients talking to you about supply chains and what's going to happen to their supply chains? Are we ever going to be dependent on China, India, Bangladesh, as we were 6 months ago?
I will tell you that there are a number of our clients that are looking at supply chains and looking to leave China, and looking to leave Hong Kong. Okay.
Hong Kong is now pretty much China. Right.
So those conversations and those actions, the question in Hong Kong is who's going to be the first one to leave. But I can tell you that everyone's got preparations out there to leave when it's appropriate.
Well, it reminds me a little bit about everybody was making preparations at Brexit.
Right.
An alternative to London.
Yeah. Yep.
Especially in the financial industry, where Dublin suddenly became the city of choice. Tell me about your firm. Are you going to be traveling? I don't mean you personally, but are your executives going to be traveling as much in the future as they have in the past?
Probably not. In fact, this week is the week that we would have had our, what we call the Cannes Lions Festival, where we celebrate work in the industry, and thousands of advertising executives and thousands of media owners and thousands of experiential participants go to Cannes and party on the croissant and look at work. And I think the days of that are gone. We can do a creative celebration using I'll call it Microsoft Teams, since Microsoft is our client instead of Zoom.
That's very smart.
Right, exactly. And you can do creative awards. You can display the creative work, and so the cost of that plus the safety. Who would get on a plane right now to go to Cannes? In fact, what was kind of weird is I was going through my calendar and I saw my flight reservation to Cannes on my calendar. My secretary hadn't taken it out yet. So yes, the answer is there's not going to be as much travel because you don't need to. I'm on the Business Roundtable, and in the conversations we've had at the Business Roundtable, I've heard a number of CEOs saying that he's already implemented. It used to be that their people would take 4 trips to China a year. He's already implemented that you only need 1 trip to China. The rest you can do by video. So I think traveling is going to be significantly different. That's the different part of our business. The experiential part of our business, if it ever comes back, sports, obviously traveling will be continued, okay, to get there, although we're looking at virtual sports and what you can do with that. Production is an issue in terms of traveling. Where is it safe to do production? What restrictions by state is there to be able to produce work? So all of that affects our travel capabilities and needs.
I think I mentioned to you, my son is a sitcom writer. They've got 12 sitcoms written. They can't film them. There's no place to do it safely.
We for one of our clients, Ava Longari had to shoot a film, a commercial. We used a drone to bring a camera into her house, so she can set up the camera in her house and take pictures for the commercial, because we didn't have any production facilities nearby to be able to shoot the film.
That's remarkable. You know, when I heard you talking about flying and travel, it occurs to me, technology in terms of Zoom, Microsoft, whoever, is only going to get better. I'm not sure the flying experience is going to get much better. And this is going to outpace that. And my guess is that's going to change the nature of the traveling business person.
Yeah, you know, and it's going to affect the advertising industry as well, because, you know, all of us have, you know, sectors. Airlines is obviously a sector that we have some pretty hefty clients in the airline sector. Their advertising budgets were zero, right? And before that, they were, you know, much higher. So on one hand, our sectors and our expertise in airlines is, and by the way, cruise lines, you know, we do a number of the big cruise lines as clients as well. So they're basically standstill. And yet we have healthcare, and we have tech and telecom, and we have some of our digital retail. Amazon is immediate, you know, is a client of ours. So there are different sectors now that are still spending, and there are sectors that are just dead, you know, no spending.
You know, speaking of spending, there's one part of the population, and I'm older than you, but that you and I both belong to, and I suspect we're going to be the last ones to go into crowded restaurants and sports arenas and
Yes.
museums and concert halls.
Yeah.
I don't know how they're going to attract their clientele back.
And that's the real issue about this recession, right? And you know better than me. This is a consumer-driven recession. It's not a capital recession. And in 08 and 09, when the industry had a big dip, you know, and we were in a recession, it was access to capital. This recession is all consumer-driven. And until the small and medium-sized businesses like the restaurants, and the shops, the mom and pop shops and whatever they're doing. And we're the, you know, with 40 million people unemployed, until there's money in those pockets, it's hard to see how this recovery bounces back so quickly.
Don't tell that to the stock market, because they
yeah, that's why I say, you know this better than me, but
no, I don't actually.
I'm in amazement at well, that shows you the stock market is not necessarily the barometer of how business is now. It's what they think business is going to be in the future, right?
It's a law unto itself. Michael, I hadn't intended to talk to you about this, but given the events of the last few weeks, I think we have to talk about racism in business. Are your clients demanding explanations from you as to what Interpublic is doing? Are there certain criteria, or else they don't want to sign up with you? Tell me how you've appealed to the clients and what you're doing on behalf of Interpublic.
Well, they don't have to ask us, because IPG is actually leading our industry in diversity and inclusion. Last Friday, actually, we were the first holding company to release our statistics on minority population in terms of transparency. We're also the only holding company in the business that holds our people financially accountable for diversity and inclusion. And what that means is, the beginning of the year, each of our CEOs have objectives on diversity. And if they don't meet those diversity goals, their incentive pools are reduced by a significant amount. And we have a significant internal diversity team that has, in fact, I bombed a session last Friday of 500 individuals who are what we call allies. These are individuals who are there to help individuals who are experiencing significant pain as to terms of what's going on. And I was listening to the conversations of individuals. And the one thing I heard out of these individuals is how proud they are to be part of IPG, because we have taken the lead on this. So, and I've gotten my first, just to give you an idea of, I happen to believe CEOs are responsible for taking positions on big issues. So last year at this time in Cannes, the NRA was looking for an advertising agency. And I was in Cannes, and a reporter asked me if we are pitching the NRA. And I made the statement that we will not pitch the NRA under any circumstances. and they put it on as a headline in one of the trades. The first email I got was from a CEO of one of our biggest clients saying, "That's why I like to do business with you." So I think it's important that corporations, and that's what the Business Roundtable has done in terms of expanding the corporate responsibility versus, the focus on shareholder return versus the constituency of employees and neighborhoods and suppliers all being part of the responsibility. And this racism has brought it to an entirely new level. And I can't tell you we're perfect. In fact, I published a note out there, which months ago, because they use us as an example of a company that's very forward thinking and taking those positions. And the headline was, "Don't ask me what it's like to be a Black individual in America." Okay. And I just went on to describe what experiences are that, I have, until you hear one of your employees on the phone with their child, and I've done this, and it was by accident, and she's talking to her African-American son who's pulled over by the police, and she's telling him, "Keep your hands up. Don't argue with the police." I mean, that is just wrenching. And we have to take ownership of making our company responsible for giving them an environment that supports diversity and inclusion. And it's not just numbers. In fact, I just I just had an interview with the Wall Street Journal because they took my note where I gave out this transparency and statistics, and they wanted to know, what else am I doing? and what I said was that not only do we hold up financially accountable, we're going deeper into the organization. We're not just holding the CEOs responsible. We're holding managers responsible. And because it's not just numbers, it's not just how many people of color you have in the organization, is how is the culture of the organization embracing diversity? And we're developing, using technology and surveys and data in terms of what environments our clients and our individuals working under. And of course, the other side of it is just this morning, right before this call, we have a situation where we have a email that is very offensive. And the question is, what do we do with this particular individual who sent in this offensive email? And the answer was, we're going to terminate him. So we have a zero policy, zero tolerance policy on some of this stuff.
You would think with all this in the newspaper, somebody would be smart enough to understand what's going on out there. Are your clients doing the same kinds of things as you're doing?
Absolutely. In fact, we work very closely with Johnson & Johnson, which is one of our clients, Verizon. We actually share data on diversity and inclusivity. We share programs with them. And we do work for them, right? I'll use L'Oreal as an example. Some of the commercials that they've run on diversity, obviously we develop with them.
Gwen.
Yes.
Do you have questions for Mike?
Yes, sir. I have questions, and there are quite a few questions here from the chat boards.
Okay.
The first one I'd like to direct to Michael is the following. Would strong consumer brands be better off not selling their products on the Amazon platform, but rather developing their own e-commerce platforms? Could they afford to ignore the Amazon lead in consumer reach and convenience?
It's a great question, and we're asked that question just about every meeting we have. And the answer is, you're going to hate the answer, but it depends. Okay, it depends on the strength of the brands. All right, and again, it's up to us working with our clients that if they have a strong enough brand where they do direct to consumer e-commerce platforms, then that's always preferable, because Amazon is expensive when they sell on that platform. But the reach you get on an Amazon platform is enormous. And the question is, how do you, and like earlier on, you heard me talking about, how do you compete on that platform if the only thing you have going for you is your brand reputation? You're more expensive than all the other products. So what we're finding is they're actually doing both, but their goal is not to be on Amazon.
Can they break from Amazon after they've established
Yes.
credibility and some?
Yeah, yeah. It's this whole private label stuff. It's not just Amazon. Walmart has an e-commerce. You know, Target has an e-commerce platform, and the question is, are proprietary products going to outsell the brands that we all know and love, right?
The same person actually has a follow-up question. How do you see the negotiation power between strong consumer brands and Amazon in terms of product presentation and revenue sharing?
That's that's the secret sauce. The answer is big brands have more negotiation power. There's no question about it. But Amazon has the distribution second to none, and reach. I mean, who doesn't go to Amazon first when you're looking to buy something, right? And where is your product placed in the Amazon search? You know, you pay a premium if you're a battery company and you're in the search. When you do the search, you'll see the batteries that come up first are the ones that are paying a premium to be located in that search. So there's this whole argument of, does Amazon have to be impartial in terms of how they present the search results? And of course, many times they put the Amazon product first. So you see the battery, you see the cheap price, and you go for it. So there's the cost of doing business has to outweigh the volume that you get by being on the Amazon platform.
Doesn't the capitalist economy really demand that Amazon do just that?
Yeah. Well, that's why they're so successful, you know. And of course, and I hate to talk about this, but then of course the question is whether they copy the products, and once you do it, they develop their own brand, and you're out of business. And that's what happens to the smaller companies that go on Amazon. But without Amazon, they never got to be even a small company, you know, because they serve a distribution that they can't get anywhere else.
I have quite a different question here. Social media platforms like Google, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube can reinforce consumer behavior using artificial intelligence algorithms with sharply focused messages through data analytics.
Yep.
Will this practice reduce the fair competition in the market because smaller players might not have the same amount of resources to compete with these social media giants? And the follow-up for that reason, do you think we need more government regulations on those giants?
Well, just look at the paper today and just look at what Zuckerberg, there's a huge, actually I'm on a call with him tomorrow on his council, advisory council, because if you just, the difference between Twitter and Facebook in terms of what goes on their platform and what the responsibility of the pipe to fetter out, misinformation versus a free pipe in terms of that, and use of artificial intelligence. And it's the biggest argument to require Facebook and Google to be regulated. And my personal view is, if TV is regulated in terms of content, they're not just a pipe. They are a media company. And if you're a media company, you're responsible for what goes on your program. And so I think that's where this is all going to come out in terms of regulation. Now, the use of artificial intelligence and data, we know there's in the UK and now in the US, we have GDPR legislation in terms of the use of privacy, of people's information and privacy, and how you opt in or how you opt out. So there is already regulation, and it's coming to the United States. It's already there in California, and other states have adopted it. So this whole use of technology and invasion of privacy and competitive advantage is going to be in the forefront of regulation.
I have another question here on social media. Given the use of social media to promote brands, do you think the younger generation will have the same brand loyalty as older generations?
If I can go just based on my own grandkids, the answer is no. But that's our job. Our job is to get this younger generation to understand the value of brands. And that's exactly what we have to be able to do. So we have to be able to get a message to the younger generation as to why you should use these products over the lower cost product. And this generation is expecting everything for nothing, right? Everything, you shouldn't have to pay for it because it's all free. And they're very price efficient in terms of, and very fickle. So they will go, just look at the rise of Instagram, versus TikTok. This is all, the loyalty of this generation is different than those of us who believe in brand loyalty and so on. So the job of a marketing and communication company is to build a brand that will overcome those issues.
You and I talked about racism a couple of minutes ago. Did you notice where Quaker Oats
Yes.
continuing on Jemima?
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, that was based on a character, a woman who was actually in slavery.
Yeah. No, there's the sensitivity on the work. I'm actually part of what we call Unstereotype, which is we're an industry organization that focuses on how people are portrayed in advertising. Because let's face it, people watching TV, their views of how people should act and who they are and what they represent is impacted by commercials. So the unstereotype is to take a look at commercials and see if people of color, LGBTQ individuals are properly represented. Women, are they fairly represented in commercials? And this takes on a whole global perspective. Of course, in some countries it's different in terms of, we did an amazing shoot in India because divorced women are viewed as tainted in India. So for one of our clients, we did this wedding, and it's a beautiful wedding and they're dancing and everything. And then you see the bride and her wife, the wife and the husband, the two women walking down the aisle, and that was sort of like a no-no in India, and it got an amazing response in India. So yes, I mean, the power of what we do is just enormous.
Along those lines, on your website, you have a supplier code of conduct.
Yes.
You say that you expect all suppliers and their employees, agents, and subcontractors to adhere to the IPG code of conduct while they're conducting business with and or on behalf of IPG. All suppliers should educate their representatives to ensure they understand and comply with the code. First, how do you monitor compliance? And if you find a vendor company is not in compliance, what have you done in the past?
We don't do business with them. We have an entire team that monitors this and we audit it. Yeah, this is real stuff. And the reason we do this is, first of all, it's the right thing to do. But the other thing is clients, clients don't want to be affiliated with any of this. We're representing our clients. So whatever we do, it's the client impact that suffers. Our reputation suffers, but obviously our client's reputation. So we take our supplier, and we have supplier diversity as well. We require bids. We require number bids from diverse suppliers. We have multiple bidding on products and services. So we take our suppliers very seriously, and supplier diversity is I remember I have one of our big investors is an investment firm of people of color, and when I meet with the head of the firm, he never talks to me about business because he knows we're doing so well and we're outperforming. All he wants to do is what we're doing on diversity and supplier diversity, and do we insist, for example, that our professional services are represented with minorities on their teams, like our auditors and our law firms. Doesn't talk to me about our margin, doesn't talk to me about our revenue, talks to me about what we're doing in terms of suppliers and diversity.
I want to ask one more question about your business, Michael. Given the reliance now on data analytics and technology, is the advertising industry building a moat around itself so that small firms really can't compete anymore? Can't start up and compete?
I hope so. No, I'm kidding. No, what happens is those small firms, we buy them. They get acquired. But
they can't grow they don't have the economies of scale to buy all this technology and data-driven material.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we were for one of the first movers to buy Axiom. After we bought Axiom, Publicis bought Epsilon at twice the price we paid for Axiom, for in my view, a poorer company. So yeah, I mean, if you don't have those capabilities, now there are cottage industries now that provide data analytics to smaller companies. In fact, one of the big competitors, Martin Sorrell, who left WPP and formed a new company, that's exactly what he's doing. He's got his own data analytics that he's bringing out into the marketplace. They're not as competitive as ours, but that's what he's doing.
Okay, Larry, did you have another question?
I'm done.
Okay, I have one last question here, and it's from a Baruch Zicklin alumna who first thanks you both for your continued support of Baruch College.
Yep.
And the question is, what role can higher education play in changing the culture to eliminate racism?
Well, I won't speak for Larry, but the reason I still support Baruch and involved in it is because Baruch gave me an opportunity to go to a school, that my family couldn't afford to send me to anywhere else. And it was, and if you look at the population now of Baruch in terms of diverse individuals and the wonderful education that you get from the school, I think it's critical. And so we do recruiting from Baruch. We have interns from Baruch working at our company. We have marketing programs. And I think we have a responsibility to give back. And I love the things that Baruch is doing in terms of the diverse population within the school. Because I remember when I was there and I paid, I don't want to show my age, but I was paying like $23 a semester, for a great education. And I think that's the only way we're really going to solve the gap between the haves and the have-nots in this country. And that's through education. And schools like Baruch that provides that are critical to success.
If I can just add something, and I want you to know, Michael commuted from further away than I did. He commuted one subway stop,
right,
one express stop further than I commuted.
Yes.
But the other thing that business can do is hire from places like Baruch, the City University. There's a habit now in many businesses, they only want to hire from Ivy League schools, Stanford or God knows where. They want to hire from schools that they didn't attend. But it's at the schools like the City University schools, Baruch in particular, where you can find that talent that Michael represents, commuting to school, working after school, working on weekends. They know what it is to compete. And I think hiring from Baruch, and I have to mention Brooklyn College because my wife is an alum there,
right.
It's the place to go.
Thank you both. Thank you both, Larry Zicklin and Michael Roth, for a very, very interesting and compelling discussion. I just want to mention that we will be providing some details on the next webinar very, very soon after that. We will email that information out to all who are attending. Again, thank you, Mike. Thank you, Larry.
It's my pleasure. Thank you. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye now.